Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Business from the Bass Boat with your host, Adam Deakin, on the Serious Angler Network, powered by X2Power. That is in our top logo there, our new title sponsor. I don't know if you've missed that over the last month, but that is actually what we're going to be talking about today is battery stuff. A little bit more from the business perspective, being that it is on Business from the Bass Boat, and that is it's a big deal. I think so much of our fishing is reliant on properly working equipment. And if you have battery issues, it can cause a number of issues from you not getting back to the ramp, electronics not working, trolling motor not working, so many things. And I guarantee you'll have battery issues if you fish long enough. That's my thoughts on it, unless you're running properly put together wiring and a quality battery. So I'm actually working on the boat right now, taking a little break from that to get Shawn from X2Power on, who has been a little bit of a celebrity when it comes to the battery world and podcast stuff. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, the Phoenix is working great. Basically, all I'm doing, I had a brake pad on my trailer brakes fall apart, or the pad itself, the ceramic came off of the pad completely, ruined an entire rotor. Luckily, under warranty, everything, shipped me a brand new rotor, and I just figured, what the heck, I'm gonna put it on myself. As always, it's like these things take way longer than you think. So, but if you have the tools and are capable, you might as well do it, because it's kind of also hard to just get into a shop of that kind of thing right now. But anyways, without further ado, let's get Shawn in here with X2Power. What's going on, Shawn?
Hey, Adam, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. It is hot in Colorado. It's like 95 degrees.
Here too.
And yeah, I'm I don't know. We're in the middle of summer. It's probably time for you to what? Go escape somewhere north. Isn't that where you guys kind of like to head when it gets hot?
That is.
Go to a cabin somewhere.
I was actually just there last week.
Oh yeah.
Yep, we have a family cottage, and my wife's family that's about as far north Wisconsin as you can get. We're about 10 minutes to the Michigan border in the UP.
Wow.
So we spent last 7 days up there with the kids, just my wife Courtney and I and the kids, and yeah, couldn't really do any towing of tubes or anything like that with the water temps up there, but got a little fishing in.
It's still that cold.
For the kids. I mean, it was when we got up there, the water temps were, mid 60s still.
Okay.
And by the end of the week, they were low 70s. So once, the kids, all they want to do is go sit on a sandbar when we're up there. So once that temp got up, then we could at least go put them on a sandbar, and they were happy to be in the water, but there was no tubing or none of that stuff.
So that just leaves more room for fishing, right?
That's what it did. Yeah. I was hoping they'd be out on the boat with me, but pretty much no such luck. They wanted to either sit in the water like that or sit up by the cottage and run through the woods.
Dang. Well, that's awesome. Is it pretty remote? I mean, are there a lot of other cottages and cabins? And
there's on the lake. It's like I think 600-acre lake, so nothing huge, but maybe there's quite a few homes on it. But when it comes to actually the night we got up there, I was pretty shocked to see 6 or 7 boats in the water. Learned that was a spring muskie tournament, or call it early summer muskie tournament. That was one of the 40 lakes you could go out on for it. So they were all muskie fishing. I was the only guy trying to find the smallmouth. And the day after that, I think pretty much every day, besides maybe that time at dusk when everyone's going for walleye, I was the only boat on the water.
That's awesome. Oh, that's cool. I love places like that. I was a couple of weeks ago here. I was on Lake Oahe in South Dakota, and you can get away from people there, man. It's the middle of nowhere. It's a giant lake, and you can escape pretty. I like those remote areas.
Yeah, we love it. We're fortunate to have it, and we're fortunate the kids love going up there, and we try to generally get up there 2 different weeks a year. Just kind of get out early June or mid-June rather, and then it takes all the way till middle of August for it to get really warm up there.
Okay.
And we'll go middle of August, and that's when the kids can do all their water sports and all that stuff too.
Gotcha. Have you ever caught any big muskie in there?
So I actually had probably the biggest one I've ever had on the line this year. And it was, I got out like 6 a.m, and the way the lake's designed, or the way it kind of sits, is about, call it 30 yards off the shore is around almost the entire darn lake is just reeds.
Okay.
From kind of, from shore to call it 4 or 5 feet deep, it's reeds, with the exception of a couple rock bars. And I just came out of our opening, just throwing a swim jig with a trailer on it, and felt the line hit, and it was, mid 40s probably.
Oh man.
On the dang thing. And I obviously did not have the right tackle, to do that, nor the right net to get it in. But it was pretty cool because I got it up to the boat, got a quick little video of it, maybe 8 yards off the boat, just floating.
Yeah.
And then that thing saw me and twisted its body and was gone.
Yeah, dude.
My only hope was to wear it down, and I quickly learned there was no way I was gonna wear that thing down. So next time, maybe put a emergency net in the boat just in case I get one of those.
Heck yeah, dude. Let's see. I've caught a couple of muskie in my life, and I think one of them was on a swim jig in Nebraska, but same kind of deal. I was going down a reed line and casting a swim jig, and had a muskie. It wasn't that big. It was probably mid 30s. But oh man, those things are crazy. Those toothed critters.
Crazy. Yeah, I had one a couple of years ago. My kids were in the boat with us and fishing, and I had a walleye drop off, and as I was pulling it up, it got T-boned by a muskie.
No way.
Obviously the hook was never in it, but I had it on for probably 3 or 4 minutes trying to fight it. And it got to the point where it kind of came right under the back of the boat. We're yelling for my daughter, Kennedy, to get the camera to at least get some evidence that it was there.
Yeah.
And right about the time she turned the camera on, all you see is the splash where it jumped out of the water, spit the walleye out, and the look on Corbin and Kennedy's face, thinking that that's in the water, was enough for them to be a little scared, when they fell off the tube the next day.
Yeah, dude. A larger version of that, and if someone if you can scroll way back on my Instagram, I was in Florida on a work trip one time, tarpon fishing, and I had a good sized tarpon on, low 100-pound tarpon, and a bull shark smoked it at the boat. I mean, just shredded it. And it was only on 40-pound braid. So it was light tackle, long fight, those fishes wore out, and then just out of nowhere just takes off when it got close to the boat. And I was like, that is really moving. And the next thing you know, you see you see it all.
You see it, yeah.
Everything. I mean, just shredded it. It was wild.
I did. This year during spring break, we took our kids down to the Keys. Oh, nice. And the very last weekday, I went out in the morning and did fishing off wrecks, with a guide service down there.
Nice.
And we had the same thing. Just fish, you'd catch a fish, and all of a sudden your line just goes, and we were fighting. We actually moved the spot because we couldn't get a fish in without a shark grabbing it.
Dude, they just say, and this was Boca de Grande. I'm trying to think of the name of the famous bridge that's there, anyways, someone's probably going to correct me in the comments, but there was they just say there's so many sharks, and those sharks are just so trained to sit under a boat and wait for someone to hook up with a tarpon. They just literally will just wait.
They know where to sit. They're not dumb.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Exactly. Complete sidetrack, but I am curious, just with X2Power and batteries at all, do you guys target anything in the saltwater space? I mean, is that a completely different deal?
I'd say if you kind of look at everything we've done so far, you go on our socials, go on our website, it's obviously geared towards freshwater and really towards bass. We've done a very little. We've got a individual out on the West Coast out of San Diego, Dwayne Melder, he's got multiple boats in a guide service. Great guy. We power all of his boats and have him as a signed partner. Okay. But that's really all so far. I think you're going to see us do more in 2023 around that space, particularly given those boats have a little different battery demands than all the graphs and whatnot.
That was kind of some of my questions.
Power demands there.
Yeah. Just for starting, or you're saying also just for the amount of electronics?
A little bit of both. Definitely a little bit of both. It's different electronics and whatnot, but there is a need. And when you're sitting, think about being in that boat, being way offshore and having battery problems.
Oh my, yeah.
Right? You don't want to have that. So we've got we're already selling a ton into the salt space, particularly down, off Florida, kind of like areas you're talking about. We've got a significant number of Batteries Plus stores down in that market that are selling them. And we just haven't really we're only in month 18 or so of really advertising what we've had for a long time. And you got to kind of start, you almost have to start and stay focused in one spot without going like shotgun, right? Because we've got, even if you think about X2 with we've got a whole line of car batteries. The question, when are you going to start doing stuff about, automobiles and trucks and whatnot? And every new little area you go into is an investment. So it either you find more to invest or you steal from something else. And I don't think we've accomplished all we want to accomplish in the space we're attacking right now.
Sure. Makes sense. No, that's a good way to look at it. I feel like as scatterbrained as I am, that's something I need to keep in mind just for my personal stuff. It's like, oh, I start doing something. I'm like, oh, what about over there? And what about over there? And then it's just like, hey, finish what you got going here first, bud.
100%. Yeah, we've got, you'll see us. We're not, as we look into 2023, and it's weird to say it, we're in the middle of summer here, but
right
as you plan out for 2023, you'll continue to see us get deeper and deeper into the bass fishing world. It's just such a great business and so many great people that if we continue to stay focused, continue to make relationships in the industry, honestly, continue to connect the local stores selling the product to the local, organizations like what's behind you, the ABA, your ABA plaques.
Yeah.
We're part of that from a high level. We're not yet really part of that from a local level. So you can just continue to focus on that space, just continue to kill it in that space. And then someday down the road, we'll be looking to expand.
Yeah, I like it. One other side note, folks, we have been having a little bit of issues with Shawn's connection. He's coming up just a little blurry, but it's for those of you on iTunes, it doesn't matter. And I just told him, it's okay. No one's here to look at your face, Shawn, so it'll be okay. Anyways, it's all good. It's not a horrible connection, but just wanted to make that clear that I am aware of that and apologize for that, but it's just part of technology sometimes. Shawn, really, I wanted to get into a couple of things. I mean, it's something that we've talked about in the past. We talked a little bit about it on the X2 show announcing our partnership with Hunter. But I really wanted to do a little bit of a breakdown more on the cost analysis for an individual interested. When it comes down to it, X2Power and in the marine world, right, has basically the blue top AGM and the lithium line. And in those situations, I want to be perfectly clear. These are both high-end batteries. These are not a Walmart lead acid that you're going to try and change out every year, that kind of a thing. I'm curious just from I guess let's do an overview between a lead acid and a blue top AGM. Where do you see customers fit right there? And I mean, I think that there's a space for lead acid still, maybe for some people, but where do you kind of see that breakdown and the differences between, first of all, those two?
So if we're starting from, I'll just use the word flooded. That's the typical historical technology, whether it's a deep cycle or starting battery. It's interesting because in the space, there continues to be honestly just very, very little knowledge. And, it's kind of like, here's what died, here's what I replace it with. So we're continuing to see a world where, price aside, not understanding that there's better options is ultimately the challenge. And you see that, and we're comparing these two, but you'll see that in the jump to lithium a little bit as we talk about it. Someone going, I'm changing my battery out every single year. It's crazy. I hate having battery issues, or I try to squeeze out 2 years, and I know by the end of the summer, if I'm not charging them like crazy that second year, I might have problems on the water, to all the way to that investment. And they don't necessarily understand there's something in between that honestly has, if you kind of think of the life of it, in some ways could be cheaper. Cheaper to, less or more cost effective to maintain, more cost effective to, ensure that you're not spending other money on the water. Like, I dealt with a customer that complained about getting towed twice during a summer on year 2 of a flooded deep or flooded starting battery in this application. And there's expenses that you got to watch out for. So to put like numbers into perspective, you're absolutely right. We're not bashful about it. Our product is a premium product, but it's also premium, premium experience, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a phone call with an individual actually today from near one of our stores in Chattanooga who runs a bass association, Chattanooga Bass Association. We were talking about it, and just not having the battery issues is the biggest investment you make. So think $450 for a blue top, $150 for a standard flooded, or $120 for a standard flooded.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking a 1 year or a 4 year. Right. So you start to go and you say, my warranty alone says at $450, I'm $110 a year. At $120, I'm $120 a year. It's the same. It's just more upfront. Right?
Yep.
And the really cool part is it's a 4-year warranty is a 4-year warranty. The thing should last you 6 or 7 years if you maintain it right.
Mm-hmm. So and maintaining it right, meaning in the wintertime, having it on a turbocharger every once in a while.
In the wintertime, or there's other times where where I'm in Wisconsin, so we always worry about the winter. If you're in, Arizona or Texas,
mm-hmm.
You actually probably have to worry more about the heat of summer, and not having that thing sitting in a 250-degree shed or 200-degree shed, sitting there baking. So you just got to maintain them right. Think about them is probably the biggest thing. No one thinks about them. Maintain them, think about them, and you can easily have almost a payback based on warranty alone, but a really good payback based on just a little care.
Sure. I like it. I think there's a good message there. Really, when we get into the blue top and then the next level lithium, I mean, there's a price difference there of about double.
Yep.
Right, when we get down to it, and lithium is where the trend is right now, right? I mean, you see the vast majority of guys making that jump all the way up. If they've had, like you said, battery issues, if they have the funds to dump into it, people that I talk to anyway are viewing that in the same kind of thought process that you have in regards to, I'm investing in this. It's got a longer term warranty. It's a battery that is going to last longer. It's lighter. There's other advantages, but that is kind of the mindset that some folks have. Now, granted, if you have your boat set up wrong, you still may have battery issues. So there's a lot that goes into just that. But I mean, where do you really see on that premium battery, that lithium product? Where are you kind of differentiating your customer base from an AGM to a lithium standpoint, or is it just preference to them?
That's a good question. So I think it's preference to them meets having a good conversation about it.
Okay.
And at our intro discussion we had with Hunter and all of you guys, we kind of talked a little bit about it, but it's that idea that you may want it, you may not need it.
That's right.
And as a Batteries Plus store has always done, we do the same thing at car battery. Just because you came to us and you say you need a car battery, let's test your alternator, because we don't want to sell you a car battery if it's your alternator. Mm-hmm. The same thing can happen here. It's all day long. The lithium batteries are a trend. We love it. We love having conversations about it. But at the same point, many people weirdly to me sometimes go, I'm here for lithium. I need lithium. And then I go, what do you put in your boat? And it's that Walmart flooded battery. Mm-hmm. Like, talk about a financial jump. You expected $100 something to $900 a battery.
That happens a ton, Shawn. I mean, in my experience too, like that is like, people don't realize that there's that middle ground, but I see that all the time, is it goes straight from boom to this giant expense.
Yeah. So sometimes it's I use that as what the customer wants is sometimes different from what knowledge they have. Like, they want that because they don't know that other thing exists.
Yeah.
And that blue top's where we started. It's where we've had for a long time. Lithium is now in month 3 or 4. And having some great demand and some great conversations. But there's room in the world for both. And customer ask meets conversation generates what they really need.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like that too. You're not necessarily upselling to somebody, just because someone may be absolutely willing and ready to spend that. And if they don't really need it, and some folks are going to take that as, well, no, I want the lithium. Okay, that's fine. We got that too. But for the folks that are a little bit more value conscious, as with the show Business from the Bass Boat, it's like, well, think about what you really, really need and how much you're gaining. Obviously, there's a little bit more of a life standpoint with lithium, and then lightness factor, and you really just got to come down to each individual case and your budget.
Yeah, and we gotta talk about. I kind of said before a little bit of like it's something you never think about. If it's working, you never think about it, right? It's just you go on the water and charge, we're good to go. But as you kind of look to make that investment, you really got to think about like what's important to you. Is it like, hey, I might be out on a lake where I'm not going to have access to a charger day 2, and I want to make sure I got as much power as possible. That might be a really unique thing to you.
Yep.
But that alone is probably worth it to say, I know day 2 is going to be just as good as day 1. I better go invest in it. So it's definitely needs to be let's talk, in this world, everything is catered. In the fishing world, everything's catered to you as an angler, right? Just because I don't get out nearly as much as you do, doesn't mean I don't still want the same rods and reels. And
right.
Put the money in there. I know darn well I don't need the same stuff that you need or that some of our pros need, but I still want it.
Yep.
And now we're finally at a world where actually the battery world has that, where it never really had it before. I want that battery.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly, I think that's an important topic to bring up just with tournament bass fishing in general. I think that there is a large population out there that that you see it every time, right? You go to a club tournament and a guy's got $120,000 boat with all his graphs on it and everything, right? And it's like, all this in a $60,000 truck to win a $40 entry fee, or it feels good, right? And like, look, I'm to some extent guilty of this. I think all tournament anglers are, unless you're at that super high pro level, but that is the market too. I think about just tournament bass anglers in general, and like there's some discretionary income at that. Like there wouldn't be $100,000 boats everywhere that you see in Texas and stuff if there wasn't. So in that case, like if you're gonna spend that much on a boat, is it that much more to put brand new lithiums in it?
No,
not really. When it comes to, it's a very small percentage of how much money that you've put into that boat. So I don't know. I think that's an important thing to bring up with tournament bass fishing. There's still an absolute need. I think at that lower level. I mean, I have ran a 2005 boat for the longest time until got into this 2018 Phoenix here recently. But to that point, I've always tried to look to save costs a little bit here and there. But like you said, I also want the fancy rods and all that. Okay.
When you talk about where we're focusing and you go back to your saltwater comment, the fun part of just the fishing industry and the bass fishing industry in particular is that it's so passion driven. That calculation you just did, you have to win a whole lot of $40 checks to pay for the $120,000. But that's not what you're there for. You're there because you love doing it, and you just want to keep investing in what you have. You want to be the best on the water on that lake, whether it's 12 boats on a Tuesday evening tournament or 7 or 8 boats in a big club.
That's you're dead on. That's I had a conversation on Oahe with a friend. I was making, and I'm so excited to watch the Elite Series events there because I know some of these guys are going to break down a lot of the same areas that we were, because we went at the same place of where the elites were for our state tournament. And on Oahe, I was making like a 40-mile run, right? And it's like, gas is not cheap right now.
Nope.
Like that is, and I, in my head going into the event, I was like, man, I'd like to find something close. And I did try to find something close, not only because gas is expensive, but, in this deal specifically, a top 10 is all you need to make the state team. There's no real difference in finishing first other than the pride of winning it. So I ended up finishing 7th, but I can tell you, I found fish 40 miles away that were bigger, and I caught them. And there was not a doubt in my mind that I was going to run there every day. Granted, the big waves, the $100 plus gas bill at least each day, I was doing it because I wanted to win. It's just like you said, passion driven. And some people may be like, you're crazy for that, but it's like, I don't know, man. You get in that mode, and that's the tournament fishing side.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just, it's funny, but the X2s performed flawlessly, man. I was very impressed because it's the north right now. I mean, north for me anyway, going into North South Dakota, on the border there of North Dakota, South Dakota, and long days, mostly because You know, the sun is just up for so long this time of the year, especially there. And I just felt like it was a disservice to get off the water early. And you see everyone else staying out, and then you're staying out. And next thing you know, you're like, man, I've been out here for 13 hours. Like, probably time to get off and get charged.
I'll throw a question your way about that tournament. You and I, we mentioned a little bit on our initial call, but you and I had spent probably, I don't know, many phone calls back and forth on battery power, battery life, the benefits of each. As you're getting into your 2018, you have, what's your setup right now? Total batteries?
Oh, batteries?
Yeah.
So I'm running 3 31 AGM blue tops on my trolling motor side. And then I figured, let's just see and practice here. I went from another AGM, by the way, on my cranking battery to just a single X2 blue top 31 AGM. And I was concerned because I'm running speaking of the X2Power battery calculator, for folks, if you go to X2Power.com, you can actually hit the menu and scroll down to accessories calculator and calculate your specific boat with everything. And we'll let Shawn talk about that in a second. But anyways, I am running more graphs than you allow on your calculator right now.
We'll update that for you.
There you go. Just get it to 6. And it's not graphs. Sorry. I mean, I'm running 4 graphs. I'm running 2 Helix 12s, a Helix 9, and then a Garmin Ultra 102, which is the 10-inch Garmin, and then live scope and 360. So, and those were things I wasn't necessarily wanting all that on my boat, but that's what came with it when I found the deal. So anyways, that's what I'm running. So I'm running a ton, and I was having issues previous to that with a single 31 group AGM battery that was not an X2 battery. And I didn't have any issues all week running live wells all day. Those northern tournaments, you know, or as we get hotter in this time of the year, I didn't skimp on anything, and never had concern starting
all on one battery.
All on one battery.
Yeah, right. So isn't that amazing when you have some of those like, this was always a problem to, there's no way this can solve the problem, and go, oh, it can. Right. And then you and I also had a long conversation about the four batteries in the back of that boat and speed, and you're running a 40-mile run. Yeah, did you notice a whole lot of difference?
I didn't notice a lot of difference. I did notice a little, but it could have been 2 props set up on that lake. Yep. I also did day 2 of the event. It got windy there. And so I ended up changing to a lower pitch prop to have more bite, to be able to get on pad quicker in those big waves. And I can tell you this, Shawn, first of all, the Phoenix 721 is a fast freaking boat, but I beat everyone in that was headed that way. I was boat 13. I passed a Bass Cat that was boat number 2, which are very fast boats, and I still hauled. I don't know. I don't go slow places, so it was.
I asked that question because we had so much conversation on it, and therein lies some of that. You know, when you say someone comes in and says, I want lithium, and they'll always be like this thing that's stuck in someone's mind that's like, because of this. And until you have the whole conversation, or until you go, I want to get you, but for the right reason, because you're not going to see that much of a drop off. Or, Hunter Sherry went like 1.2 miles per hour, whatever the number was, faster after he did that. Yeah. So some of those, like, the reasons to invest in something, let's make sure it's the right reasons, is kind of the big key in this whole world. It's cool that you're sitting out there, you're burning by people, you have all that on one battery, and you're not having problems.
I'm impressed, man. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It was impressive, and you were right, man. Like I definitely, we had a lot of conversations about that. And I do think that there's still some validness there. And for folks who set their boat up correctly, who are really good with adjusting their jack plate and that kind of a thing, you probably will gain that speed. I mean, it's just weight in general, but it's not as significant as I had expected it to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm glad you had the experience. I threw that question out there, not even knowing what your answer was.
Yeah, you're like, hey, what are you going to say here? No, but no, it was a great experience, and I'm happy with them. So let's go a little bit into really the second half of this show, I wanted to talk about, as we've discussed here now, we've talked about our differences. Lithium is the future. I think that's where everything's going. I think you're going to see more and more boats go that way, maybe even out of the factory, rather than, it might be an upgrade cost to someone buying a new boat, but I think you're going to see folks kind of pushing more for that lithium. I mean, with that, like everything, you think of HD TVs and flat screens, how they were really expensive in the beginning, and then they started to come down in price. I just wanted to get your thoughts of a big picture perspective of lithium and how everything's going that way. Where do you kind of expect? And you don't have a crystal ball, I understand that, but like, what do you expect prices?
I don't have a crystal ball, but I'll give some thoughts.
Okay.
Enough. Yeah, it's really hard to predict the future right now in today's world. Right? We're all dealing with, that $120,000 bass boat was $100,000, 3 years ago, maybe, with all the inflation we got going on.
Mm-hmm.
And lithium is not free of that. The actual cost of the raw material, because it's everywhere. I mean, if you think about, we're talking about a bass boat that it was never ever thought of years ago, to electric vehicles with an entire bank of them underneath, your seat, to every kid. Every one of my kids' RC toys and whatnot is all little lithium packs. So
the phone battery, right? Too. Aren't phone batteries?
Every phone battery, every laptop battery.
Wow.
There's not a whole lot of battery technology out there these days that isn't going to be lithium. I mean, right now we're researching and making sure we're all square on the future of literally riding lawnmowers, are going lithium, or push lawnmowers are going lithium. So I say all that in a world of like, when there's a ton of demand for a raw material, there's plenty of it available, but it's not the world's easiest thing to get to. You could have, I say that in a way of, there may not be as fast of a decline as we think there will be.
Price-wise, you're saying.
Price-wise, in that space. Unless for some reason, a new chemistry is born, and, and all the electric vehicles start to transition to that.
Hydro.
Yeah, something like that, right? It's going to have to take something like that, but it's going to continue to be an investment. But the really good news is that it's not an investment that's not worth it, that doesn't get you your payback. I mean, even just, if I could have a battery in my boat for 10 years, like, that's mind-blowing a little bit. When you think about how many times you change out batteries, that's the reality of it in the right application. So, I don't really think it's going to be coming down too much. More competition will always bring down more aggressive price points.
Yeah.
The more people buy into it, the more volume is out there, the efficiencies can be gained. So I think we'll see, some steps down once kind of we're done with the world of inflation.
Sure.
But nothing that would say, I better wait.
Yeah.
It's not like, we're kind of in a world of boats right now that if you can wait a couple of years and everyone wants to dump their boats that aren't using them, after COVID's it's kind of all, whatever you say with that, that people are getting looking at their things that are sitting in garages for 2 years, that's going to come down eventually. I don't think it's going to be like that for lithium batteries. If you want to make the investment, let's make it. And you're not going to have buyer's remorse that way.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And this is, I mean, I'm curious too. I don't think I've ever had a lithium or even like an AGM battery in my truck at all. It's always been just a lead acid, I think, anyways. When I get the truck, and then if I change the battery, which I haven't changed on my Ford currently, but my previous truck, like, I had always just changed to the next cheapest battery. Are car batteries now going that way too?
So they are or not. So there are some lithium car batteries, but it's incredibly, you want to talk user, like, application specific. I mean, this is like guys racing their vehicles that want to drop 20 pounds off a vehicle type of deal.
Wow.
In terms of, are they coming off the road with them? They're coming up, the brand new F-150 Lightning has a whole bank of lithium, because it's a completely different design. There is no starting battery in there.
Right.
But when it comes to AGM, like I've got a 2015 F-150, you actually can no longer, most people don't know this, but you can no longer put the old technology in these, because they draw so much kind of auxiliary power. When you turn off the car and you're still running ACs and televisions for the kids and radio, you actually have to put an AGM for it to meet the requirements.
So maybe that's,
So
so I've got a 2016 F-150. So it's probably,
you're sitting with an AGM in there. You don't know it, but you have an AGM. So when you change it out, an X2 AGM will be perfect.
sure. There we go. Got it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's interesting. And I mean, what about just another kind of market in general, but like boats that don't necessarily need the graph power and have to have a big battery, but like, I mean, a pontoon boat or a wakeboarding boat or jet skis, all that kind of stuff. I mean, is that kind of working its way in? Do you feel like, will it eventually go to lithium, or do you think that they'll always kind of be lesser?
You know, the crazy pontoon boats that have a ton of belt. I mean, some of these pontoon boats that are now
Sound systems,
some of these bass
outboards,
the sound system. You know, they don't need to worry about weight or anything like that. They might just want to have the power. You know, I'd say most of those applications, they're going to be way impressed with the blue top, and there's no reason to go to lithium. Same thing with the jet ski. You have no real power demands unless your answer is, I just want the darn thing to work for 10 years.
Right.
You know, that might be the reason you do it. But there's, you know, as you look at some of those, you know, you get the wakeboard boats. If you start to go look at what's being run on those things, there's a lot of power demands. Now, again, they don't care about weight. They're actually bringing water into the ballast and whatnot. They're bringing weight in. So, you know, a lot of those applications outside of, I just want it to last forever and not worry about it, we'll probably say those boats lean AGM for a long time.
Gotcha.
You almost have to be like like you as an angler, you just have this special power need that is way above and beyond the casual boater on the water.
Yeah.
And that's why this is here.
Gotcha. And another, just the big thing too, when you have those 14-hour practice days and you need to charge relatively quickly, whatever kind of charging system you have is important for this, but I believe you can put all the power you could ever want to a lithium. I mean, you could crank it when it comes to charging, and that's the same way, if I'm not mistaken, with the blue top AGM.
It is actually. Yeah, I had a conversation with a guy that went with one of our franchisees that was working with the local boat reading company. And, you know, he was kind of going, all right, you know, I want to sell the lithium because I want to charge as fast as possible. 100 amp hour battery is 50% done. I want it in 2.5 hours to be great. Blue tops can handle almost the same amount of load. You know, you can't go, no chargers out there are really above 25 amps, per line. And both batteries can handle it equally. And that's, if you half drain a blue top and it's 2 hours to full charge, is pretty darn quick. It's no longer the days where you're like running 3 amp chargers on a flooded battery and you did your 14 hours and wake up early the next morning hoping you got 100% charge.
Yeah.
As long as you put as much time, thought, and energy into the charger in your boat as you do the battery in your boat, you're fine. But if batteries are something no one thinks about, the charger sometimes is even worse. And
I agree.
So many conversations where someone says, will my charger work with this battery? You're buying a bank of 331s for a trolling motor for $20-something $100. Go buy the right $300 charger.
Right.
But don't go sit on something 8-year-old charger and cross your fingers that it works.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, quick tip for anybody out there, if your current setup and say you've got an older boat and you are looking to upgrade to a blue top AGM, for instance, on your cranking side of things, and you have that battery in there and you do have an old charger in your boat currently, but you're maybe having those long practice days, something that I've done in the past before having a quality charger in there is just buying an additional battery charger and connecting that too. So now I'm running 2 banks to that same battery. And instead of having, if it's an old 3 amp charger or 5 amp, whatever it may be, now I have an additional, I think that the one I have is a rapid charge or whatever, but it's putting 15 amp hours to it. So I can just rip it, charging it quicker and not worry about damaging the battery, which was the concern in the past, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You put what you can in the thing. It's going to take it.
Yeah. Awesome. And I'm curious too, Shawn, I know that you have gone out to say you don't ever recommend your cranking battery being lithium, right? As far as your big motor cranking battery. And I'm just curious to get a little bit more into your thoughts there. If you see that being a future thing, I know there are folks that are currently doing that.
There are brands that are a couple of our competitors that are introducing that to the market. The technology is getting there. I know there's horror stories from talking to folks at the various shows we've been to where brand X says their outboard is not under warranty if you put it on a lithium battery. The technology continues to evolve so fast. And is there a space for it? Yes. I guess my biggest thing is I'm not sure you get the benefit you think you get from it for the investment. That blue top that you put on your to start your motor is going to be in there for 6 years.
Yeah.
It's not, and you're not going to ever have, your motor's not going to die on you or not crank. So it's reliable, it's there. But the only reason it lives is to run your drafts and, start your motor. And if it can continue to do that, it's not worth having lithium try to draw that much power that quickly.
Sure.
But now the technology's there. Technology's getting there. We literally had a roadmap discussion of the next things that are coming up on the X2Power line 3 weeks ago. Nice. And that topic got brought up. And I basically said, to me, there are 3 or 4 other SKUs that we're looking at bringing in that are far more important. Prioritize those, and we'll bring that down the road. Gotcha. Just because you have to put the hat on and go, what does a consumer really need? What does a customer, what does an angler really need first before I go after that? So probably a long-winded way of saying it's going to be here. It is here in many, many brands that are out there. Yeah. We're just going to take our time with it because I know it's a much bigger win to put those batteries on your trolling motor than it is to start your engine.
Absolutely. Well, and I know for a while there, and I've heard kind of some of that has changed and some hasn't, but for a while it was breaking the warranty on your motor as far as and I don't know, is that just because it would cause damage when you start it or something, or
you know what? I honestly don't know the exact reason why they did it. But I would kind of guess to say a little bit about, there's a lot of new product that's entered the market in this space. And there's a lot of innovation happening, a lot of new brands in the space, which is amazing. But at that point, they probably don't know which brand of it you're going to put on there because not all of it's going to be created equal, if you will, in the space. So I think that was probably more of it than anything.
Okay.
And like you said, some of that's there's already kind of rumors that some of that's changing. And that's because there's, building a little bit more consistency in the market.
Sure. A little bit of trust with all the brands.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of a thing. Okay.
I mean, who knows? We may even see a day where that changes, but they say only if you're running brand A, B, C, and D.
Right. Yeah.
And you can't be, buying something on whatever website that
Alibaba or
was half the price of everyone else's, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Gotcha. Okay. And I sounds like a forward-facing discussion, or not like forward-facing sonar, but the way you guys were discussing the future. Did you guys have any discussions about electric outboards in the future? I'm curious.
So I'd say we watch it all closely. There was an announcement. Like Merck just did an announcement on a prototype that's out there that they're looking at doing. There's going to be lithium powered outboards.
It's coming.
It looks like it'll probably start with some of those, think of smaller portable, outboards
on the back.
Yeah, like the one I was looking at, some articles I was just looking at recently. It looks like it's someone's going to go throw it on a John boat or rent a boat and toss it on the back as a emergency one. I don't know what it would be, but it looks like it's going to start low. I think low horsepower, low watts, and grow. But I don't see a reason why the future wouldn't go that way. I mean, it's just for pure, even if there's an environmental aspect to it.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone started a motor and looked at the top of the water, and
especially
you see a little bit of leakage of gas or whatnot on it. Now you don't have to worry about some of that stuff. So I'm sure it's coming. And I'm sure we'll see a day just like the electric vehicles gaining momentum where, you'll be able to go buy a bass boat that's got a bank of lithium, powering your outboard. Who knows?
That's crazy.
It's all moving. The world's moving so fast.
Yeah.
I don't think you could say it'll never happen.
I mean, it's the same thought process for me anyways, when it gets to the bigger boats of range and issues of travel. I mean, making a 40-mile run at 70 plus miles an hour may be difficult with something like that right now, but the technology is getting better and better. We're seeing that with vehicles. I think the best application, like you're saying, I mean, I think of like the small boats in Canada, pike and walleye trips, those kinds of things where there's just, you know, you just see 30 boats lined up, little aluminum boats, and they all have a little tiller motor on them, and everyone's sitting there pull stringing, and it's just a pain in the butt to get them started, and you have all this stuff to maintain. And imagine just if you were running one of those camps or those guide services where you just plug them all in at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And good to go.
Or even a world where like you pop open the back of it, you pull out a battery pack, like my Ego charge or Ego.
Sure, because it'd be small enough. Yeah.
Went in and you're ready to go. So there's definitely going to be innovation in that space, and it's gonna come. Now your 40-mile run, that's a tough one, right? There is even with people driving Teslas, there's kind of that charge anxiety. You know, if I make that X mile run, am I going to make it all the way there, or do I have to stop at a charging station? What if I miss that charging station?
Is there a charging?
There's not going to be a charging station in the middle of the water.
No.
Right. So yeah, we'll see where it goes.
You're saying there's not going to be just because of the dangers of charging it on the water?
I mean, there's no, just like the charging station you pull your car up to when you're at the grocery store. You know, you're not going to have a floating dock somewhere out in the middle of that water on your 40-mile run. Where you sit for a half hour and charge it, right? So it's probably for different applications that'll take off faster than others.
Yeah. Gotcha. Funny story about charging or a gas station on that giant Lake Oahe. I think it's 230 miles long. There are two on the water marinas on that entire thing. So like the elites and it's just like, and you can't, obviously in bass fishing tournaments, you can't attach an additional fuel tank. It has to be your stock fuel tank on the boat. And the elites make plenty runs further than what I did there. But like just thinking through it, like a place like that, it's even hard to get that much distance just because there's nowhere to stop and get fuel. I mean, you can't stash fuel. It's just, I can't imagine something like that with an electric outboard, but the range will just
future will be the future for sure. Yep.
Well, I mean, just think about if your average boater is just going out on a 600-acre lake, like you're saying. I mean, there's no concern. I mean, you're wakeboarding boats, all that stuff.
Yeah, if I run out of gas on a 600-acre lake, I throw the trolling motor in. I'm fine. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you'll make it.
Not do a 40-mile
run. Exactly. Awesome. Well, Shawn, I think we wrap things up here. And I know the previous time that you were on Business from the Bass Boat before I had merged with Serious Angler Network, we had talked about some of your personal best fishing stuff. Has any of that changed or?
So I think if I remember way back when this like over a year ago, we talked first before we even joined on with the whole group. Yeah, I think I admitted that I have fallen in love with the space. I've always loved fishing, but I was more of hope you catch what you catch type of guy, and lots of night crawlers on hooks, and have completely changed. My wife had to be sitting in a boat all Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, throwing a wacky rig because I wasn't going to sit there and do bobber fishing. Yeah. So it's changed. My PB for a largemouth is not impressive. I'm going to work this year to make it impressive. I
like it.
As I said, it really hasn't taken that much time to even weigh. So, a measly 3.6, there. So I've got a lot of work to do there.
That's all right. Man.
Get very largemouth.
I'm curious, are there any largemouth in that 600-acre lake with all the reeds in it? Or
I've caught a couple.
Okay.
They're like 12-inch dinkers. It's nothing big.
Well, being north, to be honest with you, it's hard to. I mean, there's just not that many giant largemouth. I mean,
they're not growing all year, right? Yeah, they're not growing all year. So I know I need to head south. I want to go hit Chickamauga or something like that, and really start to find out what largemouth really are.
Tell you what, if you ever visit any of the sponsors or even the stores down in Arizona, that kind of an area, man, there's an impressive amount of like 5 to 10 pounders, 5 to 13 pounders down there. There's just a lot of.
I think by the next time we talk, I better be able to at least say my PBs over 5 and a largemouth. It's pretty.
I like it.
On my smallmouth PB also got completely redone. Head up with your guys, Andrew and Bailey, out on Erie, and told them what my previous was, and they said we're gonna outdo it today. And the very first smallmouth we brought in is now my PB.
No way! First fish.
512. We weren't able to pull a 6-pounder in, but the very first fish, and many more that day that were in that 5.5, north of 5.5 neighborhood. So I can at least say that I've made some advancements there. But that's awesome. 6-pounder is what I'm searching for there. I'm
in the same boat, Shawn. Mine was in point. I didn't have it in ounces, but it would have been real close to that. So my biggest was on the St. Lawrence. I had a 5.83 smallmouth, and then on a Wahi in practice, of course, a couple of weeks ago, I caught a 5.76, which was just a brute too. Yeah. And my goal is that 6-pound mark. I've gotten a lot of that mid to high 5 range, which are just incredible fish. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that that's not a really big one, but I want to break that 6. I agree. That's like, in my opinion, that 6 is like a 10 largemouth.
That's what I thought was going to happen. Last week when I was up north, I had all the thoughts in the world of pulling a 6 out of there, and it couldn't. I've never had a week up there where it's been harder. Just dealing with post spawn up there, and we didn't pull anything north of 4, as crazy as it is. We're always usually just south of 5, but someday
that mid 60s, like you're talking, man. I mean, they're either bedding or just finishing up. And like you said, that post spawn funk is it can be tough. There's no doubt.
It was real. Yeah. And all the fish I caught all week were there was randoms. It was random. There was no pattern. I could go, all right, now I see that. I'm going to go find that part of the lake. It's only 600 acres, so every little nook and cranny, and still couldn't really land them consistently. But 6-pounders by the end of the year, we'll see.
I like it, man. All right. Well, folks, if you have any questions and want to do some of your own research, I would recommend looking on the X2Power battery website. The calculator is an awesome tool to plug in your electronics on what you really need to run that stuff. And Shawn, I think with that, man, we'll wrap things up. I think this is so happy 4th of July, everyone. That's actually when this will go out, is on the 4th. We're recording a couple of days prior to that. But hope you have a safe weekend. Have a fun weekend with the family.
You too.
And I'm sure we'll connect again. And I hope the next time you're on, like you said, you got a 6+ smallmouth and at least a 5+ largemouth.
I like it.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Have a great one.
All right, man. We'll see you later.